Now, we are going to probably be seeing a lot of new agents coming up in patients with Waldenström's. What agents are exciting, would you say?
There are many at this moment. Some of them were relatively old, everolimus, I'm thinking, or some other are new, Oprosumib, but we don't know exactly the real efficacy of this drug at this moment. Exasumib is another promising drug, but I think that the most promising at this moment is, like in CLL, is Venetoclax, in which you have presented very good results for patients who had been treated. I think that it's better that you explain how was developed that trial.
Oh, no, thank you. So yes, I mean, we were very excited about Venetoclax. As you know, it's a BCL2 inhibitor, and there is a high expression of BCL2 in malignant cells in patients with Waldenström's. So with the prior experience that we have seen in CLL and how effective it has been, so it kind of made sense, biologically speaking, that we could make a clinical trial on it. So we teamed up with Cornell and Stanford and City of Hope, and we enroll about 30 patients who were previously treated. And half of those patients were actually previously exposed to BTK inhibitors. And it was nice to see that in that population of patients, we don't have a lot of data on what works actually after progressing on Ibrutinib. So we are actually seeing a response rate of about 90%, and a major response rate of about 80%, and even a VGPR rates of 20% with single agent Venetoclax. So that is really exciting. The study is still ongoing. We have completed accrual and have presented data at the 18-month mark. The goal of the study is to give patients 2 years of therapy and stop therapy and see if whatever benefit has been achieved is actually durable. So that second component of can Venetoclax therapy, can it be stopped in patients with Waldenström's? I don't think we have an answer for that yet, but we should be hearing about that very shortly. So based on that, we are planning a combination Ibrutinib Venetoclax clinical trial that probably will be open later this year, but we're still in the planning process.
Will include refractory
it will be both? For previously untreated patients.
Previously untreated patients.
So just frontline treatment. I wonder what do you think about the newer BTK inhibitors, Acalabrutinib and Zanubrutinib?
We have to also to tell something about this other two in BTK inhibitors. Acalabrutinib has demonstrated very good results in CLL, and there are also data from 106 patients with Waldenström's Macroglobulinemia, most of them previously treated, and the response rate is also very good, with 90% overall response rate and also 80% mild responses. Zanubrutinib, we were very excited about the possibility of a lower adverse event rate, because it's presumed to be more specific from the Bruton tyrosine kinase inhibitor, Bruton tyrosine kinase. So we were expecting less off-target therapy, off-target effects, but the secondary effects seems to be the same as Ibrutinib, although the response rate is very good for refractory patients. In 49 patients that were treated with this drug, the response rate was again 90% for overall response rate and 80% for partial response or better. So two drugs that are very exciting. We are expecting, we're waiting for more data about them, especially one trial that is comparing Zanubrutinib versus Ibrutinib directly, that has finished the recruitment, but we still don't have any data about this. The only interesting thing about Zanubrutinib is that the trial has reported some interesting responses in patients who were MYD88 negative. This is something that we have to clarify in the near future, especially about concerning the real or not real presence of the MYD88 mutation in these patients. but is at least at this moment very, very interesting from this point of view. In addition, I think that you also have some experience with some other new BTK inhibitors that can target mutations that are responsible for the resistance of ibrutinib.
Yes, and I think that will be probably one of the final points today. It's interesting to see that patients who progress on ibrutinib develop a mutation in BTK, specifically a mutation in 481. So Acalabrutinib and Zanubrutinib do interact with 481. So it's predicted that if patients will become resistant to those, will also develop a mutation in that spot. So there are a couple of BTK inhibitors actually in clinical trials in the United States and some places in Europe as well, in which they are BTK inhibitors that do not interact with 481. So, so one of them is called Vecabrutinib and the other one is called Tirabrutinib. So we'll see if still in those finding studies is very early stages of development, but also very interesting. I would say that I think the oral agents are here to stay in patients with Waldenström's. I think probably the future is in combination combination regimens in clinical trials, and to see if we can induce really the depth of response that we need, that will last long enough, hopefully with a better safety profile.
I think that the future is really exciting, I think.
Right. Thank you for your time, Ramon.
Thank you.
Very nice to see you.